Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, the stories I have today are very, very bizarre. 1. Did Jeffrey Epstein see or basically have contact with aliens? And did Mothman once again be seen in the Chicago, or basically that area of America again, folks? Let's get into the first article. Did an alien appear in Jeffrey Epstein's webcam footage in New York, or is it a digital illusion? In recently circulated webcam footage reportedly taken at one of Jeffrey Epstein's New York residences, viewers claim a tall gray figure briefly appears in a doorway behind him. The clip has fueled online speculation ranging from extraterrestrial visitation to occult symbolism and elite conspiracies. But what does the footage actually show, and how does it compare to similar claims that have surfaced over the years? Let's get into the actual story now. A series of webcam videos allegedly tied to Jeffrey Epstein resurfaced online, showing him speaking casually while pointing out what appears to be a mouth infection. At first glance, the footage seems unremarkable. However, some viewers notice something unusual in the background. In the upper left area of the frame, within a doorway of an adjacent room, a tall, dark silhouette briefly becomes visible. According to those analyzing the footage, frame by frame, the figure appears elongated with a rounded head and large reflective eye areas. The shape slowly recedes into the room as the camera remains fixed on Epstein. One online commentator slowed the video significantly and argued that the entity resembled a classic gray-type humanoid. The claim escalated quickly, with suggestions that the figure ducked out of view after realizing it had been recorded. From there, the speculation expanded far beyond the image itself, drawing connections to occult symbolism, Aleister Crowley's depiction of Lamb, Jack Parsons' rocketry pioneers, and modern technology entrepreneurs. The narrative evolved into a sweeping conspiracy linking space exploration, occultism, artificial intelligence, and apocalyptic theology. The central assertion was that the background figure was not human and represented something paranormal or demonic. Here we can see the footage itself in these screenshots. As you can see, there's this figure in the upper left corner, folks, and it looks rather bizarre. I mean, it looks like it does have an elongated bulbous head like a great alien, but it looks like it's wearing ordinary clothes, so it could be a guy basically with a coat on with his, hood up, because that's what it looks like it could be to me, but I can't be for sure. It is certainly very strange. And was this video taken on a day when it was raining outside? And why was this guy wearing a coat indoors like this? Either way, very strange. And the fact that Epstein basically has been conflated with aliens, it's not surprising. People have a lot of videos of people, famous people, basically being in coats with very bizarre phenomena. But this, I would have to say, probably just pareidolia, but we can't be for sure, folks. Do you suppose Epstein was dealing with aliens? I kind of doubt it, but let's read on and see what the article also has to say in the final, chunk of it, folks. However, when reviewing the raw video quality, several factors must be considered. The footage is low resolution, compression artifacts are visible, lighting contrast between room creates exaggerated shadow effects, the doorway contains reflective surfaces and depth distortion. When slowed excessively, digital compression noises can create illusory shapes that appear to move organically. No independent forensic video analysis has confirmed the presence of a non-human entity. No corroborating witnesses testimony exists. No second camera angle supports the claim. As of this writing, there is no verified evidence of an unidentified being in the room. Sadly, folks, I would have to say this is probably just a nothing burger, but still interesting to look at, because a lot of videos, both basically politically and basically, from Hollywood, show stars, basically, in the same rooms with odd entities, but they could basically be illusions or just mistakes, caused by some, basically circuit malfunction or, I guess maybe just camera malfunction. Either way, it's something just to wonder about. Let's move on to the next article. Chicago winged humanoid encounter near Warren Park, July 30th, 2024. Alleyway apparition vanishes in mid-air. Let's continue with this article, folks, and hear yet again of the Chicago Mothman, or the winged entity phenomena going on in Illinois and the surrounding states. Let's get into this article now. In the early hours of July 30th, 2024, a young couple walking through a quiet Chicago alleyway experienced something that lasted less than half a minute but has lingered in their minds ever since. The sighting occurred near Warren Park in the corridor between Warner Avenue and Belle Plaine Avenue, an area that has previously reported unexplained aerial humanoids. What they described matches a pattern that has surfaced repeatedly across Chicagoland, raising questions that are not easily dismissed. Following the airing of the Season 4 episode The Mothman Revisited on Unsolved Mysteries, the production team forwarded several viewer-submitted reports for review and follow-up. One of these reports details a July 30th, 2024 encounter in Chicago. The witness, identified as Kay, stated that she and her boyfriend were walking home around 11:30 p.m. after a late-night stop at Burger King. It was dark, and they were moving through the alleyway that runs between Warner Avenue and Belle Plaine Avenue, just east of Warren Park. The couple was talking casually when her boyfriend stopped abruptly. Kay continued walking for a few steps before realizing he had halted. When she turned back toward him, he quietly instructed her to look up the alley. She turned forward again and immediately saw what she described as a slender, winged humanoid figure levitating approximately 15 feet above the ground. The figure hung in midair, appearing solid and distinct against the dark background. At first, she questioned her own perception and took a few steps closer, attempting to confirm whether she was hallucinating. As she moved toward it, the figure suddenly vanished, dissipating into what she described as thin air. There was no sound, no visible departure, and no gradual fading. It was simply there one moment and gone the next. Almost as if it traveled through a portal, perhaps, but it was just standing in midair, folks. So how did it just, disappear like that? Unless maybe it was an image. But we can discuss that a little more after we read through the rest of the article. The entire encounter lasted no more than 25 seconds from the moment her boyfriend stopped to the instant the figure disappeared. 2 days later, both witnesses reported that they were still shaken after watching The Mothman Revisited. They concluded that what they observed closely matched the descriptions associated with the Mothman phenomena. The witnesses are currently being contacted to verify additional details. If further information is obtained, it will be added to this report. Worldwide inquiries have also been received following the broadcast. Regional cases in Chicagoland are documented in the Chicago and Lake Michigan Winged Humanoid Regional Interactive Map. All of that information is still being updated, folks, and people are still seeing Mothman, though the cases have basically tapered off just a bit currently in the last few years, but they're still basically being reported. So, why did Kay see this entity, folks? What was it? What in reality was this entity? Now, it sounds, as I've noted before, folks, that this entity sounds more humanoid, at least from the Mothman accounts from basically Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the 1960s, before the, Silver Bridge collapse. But this entity does sound just as mysterious as those accounts to this very day, folks. But why are they being seen? As I've said before, folks, do you suppose that in Chicago, Mothman's being witnessed because it's a harbinger of doom? Or maybe these entities are trying to contact mankind more, out in public now? Maybe they're trying to tell us something, and we just don't know what it actually is. Well, that's a theory that people have basically posited before. Now, with the first story we read about with Jeffrey Epstein, that was most likely pareidolia. It was well worth looking at because these entities have been seen, both alien and Mothman and basically Bigfoot, by various celebrities around the world, folks. But that doesn't mean that what happened with Epstein had anything to do with aliens in that particular case, folks. It was probably just pareidolia, unless that alien was there studying Epstein because it had heard about him through some manner, I suppose, and was watching him for a scientific purpose. But I kind of doubt that. I think an alien would probably, for the most part, have better things to do. Unless it was a demon, folks. Maybe it was this there is basically Epstein's demon and wanted us to know about it. I don't know. Either way, along with basically the Mothman, these entities are being seen, folks. Sometimes they're pareidolia, but sometimes I think they are quite real. Either way, until we get an idea about what they're here for, we'll just have to keep searching for it. Anyway, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions or the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.